I kind of study in the San Francisco Art Institute for 4 years, filmmaking. Then I started shooting film 1984. The Temptation of Dance was the first film. And then afterwards, I became a director of photography for 18 years. I wasn't the original cinematographer that John Woo chose. He chose Wong Wing-hung to do the film. And he wasn't available by the time, when we were shooting the film. And so that, I met John, and John liked me, so that we talk about lots of style about how to start The Killer first. And John was a very visionary director. He liked to work with cinematographer like, I had something in my mind about that particular scene, like Chow Yun-fat's home, that we're talking about and how to do that, how to perceive that. And John would bring up like, a shot list, very carefully planned shot list, like 60 shots a day to finish. And the 60 shots incorporate like 30 to 40 dolly shots over there. I said, John, no matter how fast we work, we're trying to work very fast, but 60 are many. He would say, okay, Peter, try your best, okay? So I said, fine. I think John was, trying to make The Killer as we kind of romantic as possible. The reason he really going for inner emotional kind of a feeling rather than just bloody killing. So that every time he proceeds with actor, like Chow Yun-fat was a great actor, like he was able to standing next to his window, then we kind of have a dolly shot of him is just observing, just standing right there. The side dolly and the movement and the tempo we were making and the dissolve and the slow motion he was using always add a little touch to the actor. He would always using a camera dolly or a movement in trying to capture that the two-dimensional or sometimes three-dimensional of the actor's face instead of using cuts to do that. He also perceived longer shots usually. For always, John was trying to find a stylized kind of action approach, like how to fire a gun, in what position, in what slow motion speed, and also from what angle to what angle. John will be very particular about the movement on the actor, something like that. He was trying to find a style of the movement. Basically, The Killer is not talking about a broad kind of atmosphere. It was talking about everything is quite narrow and small, like Chow Yun-fat's space, even though the bad guy's mansion is not humongous, except the church at the end. So Hong Kong is giving you the idea of confined area almost all the time, that in such area you kind of isolated kind of feeling. I think working with John Woo is basically emotional rather than technical. He would be thinking about Peter. I like to get something like emotionally. He would tell you about what the inner thoughts he was thinking about. He would seldom to say, Peter, I would like to use particular lens, I will use from here to there without any reason. That's not John Woo. John Woo will be always telling you the story, and he will seldom talk to you technically. He was talking to you artistically, story-wise. That's why I like to work with him in this way, because that he allowed other people room for creativity. We will be immediately knowing that what he wants, like in the police station when Zhang Gong was kind of sitting there, thinking about what he's facing. That we have the Chinese guandai kind of behind, just usually a kind of a guard, inside the police station. Then we'll be able to, do a little dolly to incorporate the color there, to make sure that the red color and his face and his thinking all put it together. The Dragon Ball scene is such a big scene. It incorporates first is in the festival. During the festival, is the killer to kill someone there. He was trying to imagining that the killer was kind of anticipate an action that is floating on the water. So I was imagining. I talked to John. So why don't we do everything, image-wise, is moving and floating. Sometimes when we were on the boat, we will imagine to let the actor himself to go into frame and drop out of frame, rather than we follow him. When we follow him too much, that means we were on trying to stabilize the camera. When we try not to follow him, that means let him to floating. So when you're floating in, it would be a kind of a shooting the guy there. And also it was a very nicely edited scene. Shooting at the waterfront is aftermath of the dragon boat sequence. We were using lots of cloths, people hanging cloths there. They're between cloths and kind of heat and hide, something like that, and trying to shoot somebody and the blood stain on the cloths. And what Tony Cheng was doing is trying to follow John's idea and how to perceive the danger of the action in the sequence. And I got to be very interesting to know what exactly on this shot we need to accomplish action-wise. And we're trying to combine this action to what John's theory about the poetry there, and how to make it a little more romantic style instead of just purely at the action-wise kind of a thinking. And there was one shot in Chow Yun-fat's home that John was asking Peter, can you do a dolly that no matter how many times we did, would be the exact same speed? The reason there is a shot that the cop was sitting in the chair, that thinking about Chow Yun-fat was sitting in the chair. Even though we do a wide shot, we do a close-up, and I talked to my dolly man and trying to digitally lay out how many feet actually we traveled, and we time from each point to that point that we must have digitally counted that how many seconds we pass. We didn't have motion control camera by then. We never had the budget to use a motion control camera. So that we were kind of using this kind of a method. We shot, 2 times, one wider shot, one close-up on Chow Yun-fat. And on the next day, we were shooting the cop scene. Then we were using the same number of time to do that. And it kind of turned out marvelously, well done. From a guy's point of view, and going to thinking about others, how they can thinking about each other by not saying a word to the audience, only showing visual. I still thinking The Killer is one of the very best film of John Woo. Even though I wasn't aware when I was working on the film that what the final image will look like, because everything is in John Woo's head by then. He liked to twist it, his editing from time to time. He changed his style during editing, but when we were making it, I knew that is going to be a special film in terms of visually and stylized. And I did think it had great influence on later Hong Kong cinema and some of the world cinema too. For me, it is the first film that I was, being little known by the Western about seeing what Peter Pau's work is. Even though the work is small, is not a great proportion of the film, but people knew me is starting from The Killer. Don't be afraid of changing. Changing somehow will make things better. Sometimes we don't, but being flexible is what the film should be. So I'm glad some director like Steven Soderbergh was able to using shooting like back to the mini DV pictures on his full frontal, right? And he was being able to without makeups, without costumes, and shot the films in 2 weeks, just like in the old days when we were all students. Once we have the concept, we just make the things spontaneous. We can do things on our own. Why films need to only see films cost 100 million and above interest you? Why not a film that talking about or the human relationship or the inner thoughts can be done in the 2 weeks? And there should be allowing all kinds of films around. So that I kind of miss not only the Hong Kong films, but the freedom of making your own films and more different concept and interesting story floating around. Not to just make one time of film, which is Hollywood film, and then trying to be creative all the time. I always warn myself is when the time you were thinking about, okay, I should stick with what I did before. Now I should do something safe. That is by the time Peter Pau will retire from filmmaking. That's the time that I was thinking about I should only possibly produce film by not making it.